Hi, everyone. Welcome to another segment of Wednesdays with Wendy. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I'm so excited. We have a guest, Joni Sturgill, who is here to talk to us about caregiving during the holidays. For those of you who are new and watching us for the first time, my name is Wendy Garvin Mayo. I am a nurse practitioner, cancer caregiver coach, and consultant, and the founder of Shape Partners. So with that, I will hand it over to Joni to do her introduction.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm so happy to be here. So I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm also a mindfulness educator, and mindfulness is really a huge part of what I do in helping caregivers and helping cancer patients and a whole lot of other populations that I work with, because I feel that mindfulness is really a framework that we can return to again and again to help us through life ultimately. Not just challenging times, but it can help us more fully be present and enjoy good times as well. So really what I want to talk to you about today when we're looking at going through the holiday season is how this year in particular we can get through the holiday season, because even in, I'll say, normal years, I know so many people, myself included, that as the skies get darker earlier, as the weather gets colder, and as we head into the holiday season, so many emotions rise up, and a lot of people have seasonal affective disorder. Mood starts to go down as the temperatures go down, and again, as darkness comes in. And that's in a normal year. This year in particular, with COVID and everything else that's happened in 2020, everyone's stress level is starting at a much higher place. And then you add the holiday season onto that. And then if you're a caregiver, you add all of the challenges of caregiving on top of that. So everyone, I feel like, is beyond their maximum this year. So this is why self-care needs to be a priority. And it doesn't have to take tons of time as a caregiver. I know that you're busy, and the holiday season and everything that comes along with that, everything that comes along with every element of life right now in 2020, as well as, again, all those ordinary parts of life and all of the stress that you're feeling. All we can do is really practice mindfulness. So I want to talk about this framework of how you can implement the concepts of mindfulness into your life, and how you can do brief, simple practices like breathing exercises that can help you have more moments of joy, have more moments of gratitude, and ultimately help to calm and soothe your nervous system and make you a little bit more resilient in the face of all the challenges that you have. So this mindset or framework of mindfulness is really the 3 A's of mindfulness: awareness, acceptance, and action, or skilled action. And so we're going to go through each of these and how these are important and how you can apply them to your everyday life, moment to moment. So first of all, awareness. This is so important when we're busy. This is so important when we're under stress, because sometimes we feel stress, we feel uncomfortable emotions, and it makes us want to go into withdrawal or avoidance. But awareness is so important. And what are we becoming aware of? Well, we first need to recognize that we're in challenging circumstances. And it's important for you to just say, yep, my reality is difficult right now. It's okay to own that. It's okay to say that. And then it's also okay and really important for you to develop awareness of what's going on inside of you in terms of how you're internally responding to whatever your circumstances are. So you're going to ask yourself, what do I think about this circumstance? What are the thoughts running through my head? You're going to ask yourself, how do I feel about this? What emotions are present today in this moment about this circumstance? And you're even going to start to practice and develop that muscle of awareness to notice what your body's physical response is. to the circumstances that you're presented with, because stress really gets into our bodies and impacts how we feel. In the most simple way, at the end of a long, stressful day, I know I feel it in my neck and shoulders as tension. But honestly, stress can build up so much. It can cause digestive disorders. It can cause all kinds of health problems the more we hang on to our stress. So awareness is important, both awareness of our circumstances and awareness of what's going on inside. And acceptance, the second A in our mindfulness framework, acceptance is a difficult thing to understand. At first blush, acceptance, I think a lot of people think means complacency, but it's not complacency. My definition of acceptance when it comes to mindfulness is seeing reality clearly. That's all. Acceptance doesn't mean you have to like something. It doesn't mean that you're not going to try and change it if it's something that you have control over. Acceptance is just seeing reality clearly. So that means seeing your circumstances clearly and also recognizing, looking at how you feel about those circumstances. Do we do this all the time? Because this seems simple, right? It sounds like a simple concept, but we don't do this all the time. So often we have a circumstance that we're facing, and maybe we feel sad about it. Maybe we feel angry about it. We think to ourselves, or the thought pops into our head, well, I shouldn't feel that way. And so what do? We bury that emotion, or we just don't look at it. We pay attention to something else. We distract ourselves with something else. And when we do that, we're not really processing whatever that emotion is. It stays with us and it bubbles up again and again and again. So awareness and acceptance, it's important for us to look at how we feel. I'll give you an example. I was working with a private client this past week, and she was expressing how sad she was that she hasn't hugged her grandson in so many months because of COVID and the restrictions. And she's close to 70 years old. And so she and her husband want to be really careful. And she said, I'm so sad and I feel so overwhelmed that I haven't been able to hug my grandson in so many months. And then in her next breath, she said, but I shouldn't be sad about that because I have lots of things to be grateful for. And there are people way worse off than me. And I said, well, hang on there for a second. Regardless of if there are people worse off than you have every right to feel sad because you haven't hugged your grandson. Allow yourself to feel that. Don't discount your feelings just because maybe someone has it worse than you. Maybe someone does have it worse than you, but you're still allowed to feel sad. It's important to give yourself the space to experience those rough circumstances of life because that's part of life. We all have that. And sometimes we dwell there for too long. We dwell in those difficult circumstances because they feel overwhelming. And that experience can drag us down even more. So I'm not advocating staying stuck there. But I also don't want you to brush off those feelings and try to just focus on this false positivity because that can be damaging too. Really in life, you need to accept and invite space for all of this to happen. So to invite space for the challenging circumstances of life and to hold space and invite space for all the wonderful things that you have in life, the things that we all have that we can be grateful for. But it's important to hold space for both, not to just try and push yourself to see the positive, not to dwell too long in those challenges, but how can you hold space for both? When we move back to that framework of mindfulness, the 3 A's, we talked about the first 2, awareness, paying attention to what's going on inside as well as your circumstances, acceptance, allowing yourself to feel whatever is present, not apologizing for it, not brushing it under the carpet. And then that third A is action. So how do you know you're taking mindful action? It's a matter of asking yourself the question, is this a circumstance that I have control over? Is this something that I have control over? Sometimes the answer might be, yes, I have control over it. Sometimes the answer might be, well, maybe I have control over a little bit of it. If that's the case, if you answer yes, or yes, I have some control, well, that's when we can pause and tune into our logic and reasoning part of our brain. And then we write out what elements do I have control over? What can I do to make this better for myself? And then you brainstorm and you come up with a list of things, A, B, C, D. And then you slowly start to work toward that. And if you ask yourself that question, is this something I have control over? And the answer is no, it's out of my hands. Well, that's when you have to go back inside to awareness and acceptance. You have to go back inside and ask yourself, if this isn't something I have control over, how can I learn to accept it? How can I learn to live with it and to move through this circumstance with faith and with grace? And that's where it's important to have a toolbox of healthy coping practices, a toolbox of things that you derive joy from, and a toolbox of mindfulness practices, because they can really help you move through this process moment to moment, day to day, week to week, where you're training your brain, you're training your nervous system, you're training your body to be more aware and ultimately to be more resilient in the face of whatever life throws at you. Resilience is that quality of being able to recover from difficult circumstances, being able to recover more quickly from challenging circumstances. So we need to hold space for both the challenges in life and the things that we can be grateful for. And I wanted to lead you in a practice that can really help you do this. It really helps to introduce to you, how can I tune into what I'm feeling, what's going on inside? How can I strengthen that and build that skill of awareness and acceptance and learn how to take action from a calm, centered, rational place? How can I do that? And this practice can help. So there's 3 parts to the practice that we're going to do. The first part is a practice called internal awareness. And it is literally, I'm just going to ask you to notice how your physical body feels. I'm going to ask you to notice how tired or how awake you are. I'll ask you to notice your mood and your emotions, and we'll spend a little bit of time there so you can really explore that. Let yourself feel however you're feeling. You're allowed to. And then for you to notice what's going on in your mind, what's going on, thoughts in your head. The middle part of our practice, we're going to do a deep breathing practice. Our breath is such a powerful tool that we have. It can help to calm and soothe our nervous system. It can help our mind to focus when we're overwhelmed. And it can help us to relax when we're feeling really stressed. So we'll do a long, slow, deep breathing practice, and I'll tell you more about that as I guide you into it. And the final part of this practice is going to be inviting in a memory, a thought, a feeling of joy, something that you feel grateful for, and to hold that feeling inside. So again, we're going to be noticing what we have, what's present right now. We're going to be doing a neutralizing practice. And then we're also going to be holding space for what we're grateful for. So it's that framework of mindfulness, awareness, acceptance, action, and helping to train us to hold space for all of it, to hold space for the darkness and the light. So to prepare yourself for this practice, I want you to find a comfortable position. You can sit with both feet flat on the floor. If you're in a recliner or something like that, that's a really nice place to be so you can be comfortable. You're welcome to lie down for this, but if you're sleepy, you might drift off to sleep. So if you feel like you might drift off to sleep, you'll get the most benefit if you stay awake. So you might choose to sit up if you feel like you might drift off. So once you get comfortable, you might want to roll your shoulders back and down. And take a deep inhale and exhale with a sigh. And then either allow your eyes to close or turn your gaze down toward the floor. Bring your attention and your awareness inside. Bring your awareness to notice your body and notice how your body feels in this moment. Where do you have tension? Where do you have tightness or soreness? Do you have any areas of chronic pain or chronic discomfort? Notice how those parts of the body feel in this moment. If there is some discomfort, just ask your body to soften around the edges. Can you let go of just a little bit more tension, softening your face, your neck and shoulders, your belly? Notice now your level of wakefulness. Do you feel tired, wide awake, or somewhere in between? Notice your mood and how you're feeling this evening. Are there any particular emotions present? You might say to yourself, I feel, and whatever word falls in there, let it be there. Again, you're allowed to feel however you feel. You don't have to brush it away. You don't have to make an excuse for it. Just identify it. Just look at it for a moment. Sometimes we have an emotion on the surface and then we have another one just beneath the surface. See if you can look at what's present in you just beneath the surface. Know that you're safe. It's okay to feel. You're not going to get sucked into some black hole if you just allow yourself to feel. It will pass. If and as you start to identify how you feel, your mind might start going. You might start thinking. All kinds of thoughts might come into your head, and you might get distracted by them. You might really get hooked into those thoughts, the story of why you feel the way you feel. Our mind usually takes us in one of three places: into the past, into the future, or into our inner narrator, which is sometimes our inner critic. So as you focus on your emotions, start to notice what thoughts come up, and can you pull back and really just pay attention to the content of the thought itself and just label it: past, future, inner narrator. And now, and as we move through this practice, every time a thought comes up, see if you can pull back and just label it. And then see if it fades away or if you can let it go. We need to try to anchor our attention somewhere. So let's try to anchor our attention in our breathing. First, I want you to see if you can pay attention to your natural breath, your body breathing all on its own. And you might notice the sensations of breath at the nose. You might notice movement to your chest, your rib cage, your belly. We're going to start deep breathing now. So we're going to start to take control of the breath. If we change the breath, it can change and shift the way that we feel. Start to slowly inhale through your nose. Long, slow inhale. Let your belly relax as you inhale. Let your rib cage expand as you inhale. And then a long, slow exhale. If you're also able to exhale through your nose, do that. If it feels more comfortable to exhale through your mouth, it's okay to do that. Always inhale through the nose and exhale either through the nose or through the mouth. Try to slow down your breath. fill your lungs as you inhale and empty them as you exhale. Now I'm going to encourage you to deep breathe to a pattern. I'm going to ask you to inhale to a count of 4 and to exhale to a count of 8 if you can. And just do the best that you can. So we're going to start this. I'll have you exhale completely. Empty your lungs. Now, deepest inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Deep inhale, 2, 3, 4. Slow exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Continue that on your own just for a few more rounds. Long, slow inhale, filling your lungs in that count of 4. Greatest breath ever. Slowing down your exhale to a count of 8 if you can. If you only make it to 6, that's okay. Just try as much as you can. When we breathe in this way, it helps to lower heart rate, lower blood pressure, calm and soothe the nervous system. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath like that. And then we'll go ahead and release the deep breathing. So let go of all control, let go of the counting, let go of the control on the breath. And I want you to bring to your mind's eye something that brings you joy, a memory or something that you're grateful for. Usually the first thing that pops into your head is the right thing to choose. So think of this thing that brings you joy. Remember every detail about it. If it's a memory, if it's a circumstance, if it's a person, if it's a pet, whatever it is, let it come in and notice how you feel in your body. Notice what emotion comes forward. Notice this thought and how it swirls around. It really connects your mind, your emotions, your body. And keep focusing on that memory, that thought that brings you joy. Maybe it's the last time you had a really good belly laugh. And we're going to do this again. So I want you to let go of that memory and let another one come in. Again, maybe it's the last time you had a great big belly laugh or something that just warmed your heart. Whatever comes in next, let it come in. Remember every detail about it and let yourself feel that feeling of joy, gratefulness. And then we'll kind of shift one more time, let that one go. What's the next memory that comes up that's joyful or brings you such a great amount of gratitude? Let that memory come in and notice what's happening in your body as you bring in these joyful memories. What happens in your body? What happens in your emotions? What do things feel like inside? Now, I want you to see if you can hold on to this feeling inside, but let the details around the memory, just let them fade, let them go. But can you hold on to this feeling of gratitude, this feeling of joy, this feeling of exuberance? Can you let that feeling sink into your bones? And you might even want to breathe it in a little. You might even want to deepen your breath and take a few breaths, really breathing in this feeling of joy, this feeling of gratitude. And then I want you to remember that you can do this anytime you want. You can do this anytime you want. You can have space for what challenges you, any present moment circumstances, you can refocus with the breath and you can find joy and you can feel that sense of joy again. So I want you to take a moment, and when you feel ready, you can bring this to a close and you can open your eyes. So that is one way that you can teach yourself to hold space for whatever is present during the holidays. Maybe some challenging emotions, challenging circumstances, and you can hold space for some joy and some gratitude as you move through the holiday season. And this framework of mindfulness can be something that you return to pay attention, cultivate awareness, cultivate acceptance around whatever is present in your life, and then start to teach yourself to take skilled action, whether that skilled action is finding a space of joy inside of you, or if there's something you can do to change your circumstance, that you can work on that. So Wendy, what are your thoughts?
Oh, that was amazing. I think I was almost asleep. That was so. I think what's really amazing about it is the the power breathing has. Like, I was doing the breath and I just settled,
Mm-hmm.
and it centers you, right? So then you can actually think rationally. So when you're stressed and tense, you can't really do anything because you're like paralyzed. But breathing and releasing, now it's kind of like, okay, now I can make a decision. Now I can move forward.
That's
So
exactly right.
yeah, it was just power, just doing that exercise there. Because even for me, I'm a little like, because Thanksgiving's tomorrow. What do we have to do? Right? Thinking about that. But just centering yourself. So I think it's really important to allow yourself the time and space to just ground yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Really figure out, what are you feeling? What's going on? And then move forward.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I know you say that and you emphasize that, yeah, we have to take that time and space for ourselves. And it doesn't have to be an enormous amount of time, it really doesn't. But taking that time, taking a little bit of time is absolutely essential.
Yeah. And another thing is like going to the bathroom, right? You only need a couple of minutes, right? To just give yourself the time and space there. No one's going to follow you in the bathroom, right? So be mindful of that, during the holidays. So I've been giving caregiver tips, holiday tips. And my tip today, everyone, is be mindful. Try to be mindful tomorrow, as you're celebrating Thanksgiving. But this was awesome. I love it. I love the 3 A's. That's amazing too. And I think it's important for people to have step-by-step instructions on what to do and how to do it. So I'm sure this will be very useful for a lot of our caregivers out there who's watching this.
Good, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah, the holidays can be really tough, and especially being a caregiver, and especially in 2020. So it is taking the time and space and remembering, yeah, to hold space for everything that life contains, like those challenging pieces and the joyful pieces, because we all do have both. And it's challenging to hold space for all of it sometimes, but that's what part of mindfulness is just remembering that there's two sides to the coin, and we need to look at both.
Yeah, and that we are capable. You are capable of holding space and doing this practice and really controlling your emotions and not giving people your power. So we
Yeah.
are all capable of doing this. So thank you so much, Joni. This was really good. Thank you so much for being with us. And happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining and have a good night.
Thank you.